Hey, Shalom and Shalom and stuff. So by giving no praise to Yahweh, Hashem, Yahshua, Hashem, Kodash, the blood of the apostles, GMS, and honestly, brothers in the work of the Most High in truth and sincerity. This one is inspired by an episode of Connected on Netflix. Right, it was a good little series there. It's one of them series that once again just shows you the power of the Lord and the magnificence of the Lord, right? In the way that he's made this, made this world. However, the last episode in the series was on basically, the nuclear, uh, the nuclear testing, right? I mean, there was even a stat in there that was like, after I forget exactly when it started, but he basically said they were testing nuclear bombs every 9 days for the next 50 years, right? Now people tell us, oh, why are you saying the Edomites got to get done away with? They were testing nukes every single day for every 9 days for the next 50 years. Well, I forget when the start point, but that's still a lot. Like on nine, what do you call it? Every 9 days for 50 years testing nukes, right? This is Isaiah 24:5. Right, which says, the earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant. Right, so here it says, in fact, let me read from 4. It says, the earth mourneth. And this earth is mourning, man. Right? Someone I talk to, says, they feel, then, they don't know anything. Right? But it's like, they feel that the earth is sick. Right? And you know what it is when you are when you're ill, you get a fever because you're trying to get all of that bad stuff out of your body, right? The earth's trying to get Esau out, and that's not doctrine. But this earth is languishing, man. Right, as it goes on to say, the world languisheth and fadeth away, right? And goes on to say, the haughty people of the earth do languish, right? So fadeth away here, referring only to America, as the earth will abide forever. So America's going to fade away, as in it's going to be completely destroyed, right? Right. But yeah, it goes on to say in verse 5, the earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant. Right. So this earth is defiled, it ain't yielding the strength that it used to. Right. It's sick. Right. It's sick, and it's and it can't wait for this virus called Esau to be taken away. Right. Watching that documentary, going into how they can actually, because of all of the testing, right, they're able to tell how old your fat cells are by the amount of what do you call it, carbon 14 in your body, right? They're able to tell whether a painting is a fake because of the amount of carbon 14 in the fabric, right, of the canvas, that is, right? But once again, that is just testament to the fact that this man is as death, as the scriptures say, and laws will get later on. Right, so here is an important date, right? This is July 16, 1945, right? This is the day of the world's first nuclear explosion, right? So they called it Trinity, right? Which will have a meaning. I can't think why they would have gone for that name, in terms of like the occult and all of that, that sort of stuff. I don't know, right? But that was chosen for a reason, right? Trinity, right? They chose that name for a reason, right? But if you look at the name of the place where it happened, this is Jornaldo, or probably Jornaldo del Muerto, right? And that Gomes del Muerto, that sounds like death, right? And you look into the name, right? It says the Jornada del Muerto, right? It says the name is translated loosely from Spanish, historically referring to it as Journey of the Dead Man, right? So the place that they chose to do the test, and the name that they chose to do the test, right? That definitely has meaning to it, right? But yeah, this was part of the Manhattan Project, and hey, man, look, hey, the Lord ultimately is the one that gave this man the understanding how to do it. Because even then, in the documentary, they go into the fact that he didn't really, is this recording? Yes, recording. He didn't really know how what the effects would be. They didn't know whether it would be, strong or super strong, or whether it will burn the sky, this, that, and the other, right? They didn't know, right? This man's a mad scientist. And the worst thing they go into, right, is they basically say, because they dropped it over Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right? So I think that was July 16, right, 1945, and they dropped the bombs the next following August, right? So you already know what this wasn't to end the war, right? Esau likes to tell you it was to end the war. It wasn't to end the war. My man just wanted to flex his muscles. He wanted to show the world what he could do, right? He wanted to fulfill prophecy, right? He didn't know he was fulfilling prophecy, but he wanted to fulfill prophecy because the scriptures say, right, that unto him was given a great sword, right? It's Revelation 6:4, right? It says, and there went out another horse that was red, horse representing power, red representing the Edomites, right? And power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another, right? And there was given unto him a great sword, and no sword greater than the nuclear missile. Right, you look at Russia's Satan 2, which is said to basically be able to take out the whole of France or the whole of Texas. Right, one of them. Right. Now, obviously, we concentrate on America, on England, NATO, whatever. But we can never forget that the Russians are Edomites too. That's what it says in Ezekiel the 37th chapter. Says, I'm Gog, I'm against thee, O Gog. Right, basically meaning the Lord isn't with Russia. Right, basically the Lord is going to use Russia, right, and all of Russia's allies to fight against the beast, and ultimately shoot missiles at America. And ultimately all of America's allies are going to shoot missiles at her, right? It says but yeah, once that is a destructive force, right? So that was the point I was trying to make. In the bombs that they dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, they didn't know how it would affect people. They didn't know. So they literally just testing to see what the effects of the mean. I'm pretty sure they knew lots of people die, but ultimately they didn't know how it would affect people in the long run for sure, right? But this man ain't the devil, right? Let me grab this. This is Job 9:24. Right? It says, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? Well, this goes into which got three things. It says the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. So who's in rulership over the earth right now? Esau, the so-called white man. Right? The Lord has given it to him. Right? You can't say it's anyone else. Right? Because as Apostle Tar always goes into, what's the language of aeronautics? Right? Meaning when you're flying, right, when you're talking to air traffic control, what language must you be able to speak? English. What's the lingua franca? A lingua franca basically meaning the language of commerce, right? It's English, right? What does everyone trade in, right? What is backed, everything backed in? The USD, right? So the earth is given into this man's hand, right? The Lord gave it to him, right? It is his time to rule, right? But it goes on to say he covered the faces of the Well, sorry, I missed the point there, right? So he's the one in rulership, right? So meaning he's the wicked, right? Because to test a weapon of that power, of that destruction, on a group of civilians for no reason, right? Yeah, he'll talk his spiel about, oh yeah, we were we know we were trying to stop the war. You weren't trying to stop the war, right? 190,000 people died in that one day, right? I believe that's the from the direct effects, and obviously you would have had people that would have died from the cancer, etc., etc., etc. Right? Now, if that ain't the wicked, right, and that's what that last bit is saying. That's the third. But if not, where and who is he? If it ain't if he ain't the wicked, who the hell is the wicked? Right? It says he covereth the faces of the judges thereof. Right? Basically, that's going into the fact that he set himself up to look like Yahushai, Right? He set himself up to look as if he is everyone in the heavens, right? All of the prophets and everything, right? He wants to make it seem like he is that guy, right? That's what it means. But mainly, right, the number one judge that he basically covered is our Lord Yahweh Shai, right? Set him up to be looking like a so-called white man, right? But yeah, and wanting to get this, right? This is Proverbs 12 and 10. Oh, whoops. Proverbs 12 and 10 is, a righteous man regardeth the life of his beast, but the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel. Now, this is going into how people look after their beasts and everything like that, right? But then it goes and says, but the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel. Basically going into the fact that this devil, right, even him trying to be tender, nice, and delicate with something is wicked, right? It's cruel. It's like he doesn't know how to be, how to be tender and merciful, right? Them Ammonites got a taste of that, right? That's not the one I want. This is Isaiah 13. Let me just go to it. Made world tremble. I forget whether it's Isaiah 13 or Isaiah 14. Is it world or earth? Stuff. Bear with me. That's Satan. 14, yeah. Right. Yeah, I'll just jump straight to the point. This is Isaiah 14:16. It says, they that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee, and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, and did shake kingdoms? Right. So when he is brought down, all these heathen nations are going to look at he for the little for the basis of man that he is. Right, we read that in we read that Job 30th chapter. They that are younger than I have me in derision, right? Those that would have disdained to set with the dogs of my flock, right? Meaning that Job was said, look, I wouldn't even want these people to sleep with my dogs, because why? They'll have sex with their dogs, right? And then it'll go then also you read that in Daniel, was it 7:18 or 4:17, right? About basically how the Lord setteth up over the power of the earth the basest of men. When you look up basis of men, right? Now Esau is the basis of men. That's how he's going to be looked at again in the kingdom, when the Lord removes that power from him, removes that hedge from him, right? And they're gonna be like, is this the man? This little squirm, right? And that's why ultimately, look, man, them Ammonites ain't forgotten, right? Them Ammonites, they remember exactly what this devil did, and you know what? They gonna want a piece of you when the time comes, man. Right? The Lord is gonna put it in their spirit, right? It says, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, and that did shake kingdoms, that made the world a wilderness, right, and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of its prisoners, right? So that's what this man did. He made the world a wilderness, dropping bombs everywhere, right? Now, if it weren't a nuclear power bomb, it was, for instance, he has the bomb Moab, mother of all bombs, right? The one that's basically got significant amount of power, but it isn't a nuclear, so it doesn't have any fallout or radiation after the fact, apparently, right? But then you look at Afghanistan, you look at Iraq, my man was just dropping tomahawk missile after tomahawk missile, this ordnance after that ordnance, right? You look at the destruction of the previous world wars, right? The fact that they're still finding bombs from 1945 to this day, right? Whole towns having to be evacuated, not the whole town, but whole areas having to be evacuated while a bomb disposal unit comes in and disarms the bomb, right? This is Jeremiah 50:23. How was the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? how has Babylon become a desolation among the nations? Right, so Esau is referred to as the hammer of the whole earth. Now, why is this pertinent? Because a hammer, what's that saying? To everything to a hammer is a nail, right? The only solution a hammer can think of is, well, let me nail it down, bam, hit on it, and that's E and his power structure. It's America, right? Every single thing that comes to them as a problem, well, we'll just bomb them, right? Just like heavy-handedness. I mean, this man is the devil, right? So yeah, it's back. It says July 16, 1945, the day of would you call it, the first detonation of a nuclear device, right? What else do we want to get? Oh, sorry, I haven't even read this, right? So Isaiah 54:16, behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals on the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work, and I have created the waster to destroy, right? So it's created the waster to destroy. That's talking about these nukes, right? Now, when you look at when bros were speaking on it, right, what a smith actually does. Smith, someone that works in metals. And when you really look at the majority of these nukes, right, it's basically the thing that these scientists have to figure out is, in terms of maximum performance, right, least, obviously least amount of fuel, and lightest that they can do, so that it can be faster and whatever, what have you. But the problem with speed is heat, right? The faster something goes, the more friction that's fighting against it, the hotter it becomes. You think of the space shuttle on re-entry back into the Earth, or for those that remember the space shuttles, right? What would happen at the bottom? They would burn up because of the heat, right? So smith work is basically finding the right metals at the right levels, the right bit of this, right bit of that, where basically them rockets don't burn up before they're meant to burn up, right? So that's what a lot of these a lot of the smithery today's is basically, that's basically what's happening, right? But once again, it's just saying that the Lord is the one that is created, because what Oppenheimer said after he created the bomb, I have become the destroyer of worlds, quoting the Bhagavad Gita, I believe it's called, right? But once again, not giving glory unto who really gave him the power to do that, because that's his blessing. You read that in Genesis the 27th chapter, right? But I wanted to get this actually, of verse 17. No, what weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, right? And Christians, like bringing this one out all the time, right? But if you're of the elect, these ICBMs have no power over you, right? If you're of the, if we're of the elect, then Scripture says the righteous shall scarcely be saved. So you might see the ICBMs coming, but then the Lord just going, beam us up, man, right? Lord's all will be of that number, right? Then every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of Yahweh, and their righteousness is of me, saith Yahweh, right? So let's just prove what I just said real quick. This is Second Thessalonians, First Thessalonians. Oh, First Thessalonians. Oh yeah, it is. It says, then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds. Now, the clouds represent the what the so-called white man refers to as the UFOs, right, or the UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomenons, right? It says to meet the Lord in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Lord, right? So, if we're of the elect, we're actually going to be beamed up into the clouds. So we need not fear these ICBMs. We need not fear Esau's killing machines, right? Because in fact, it says up here in verse 16, it says, for the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of the Most High, and the dead in Yahushua shall rise first. So those that were beheaded by Esau, those of us who have died doing the work, right? They shall be risen up first. Those of us that died a righteous death doing the work, right? They shall be risen up first of Yahushua, right? And that's why it says in verse 18, wherefore comfort one another with these words, right? these words are comforting to us, right? And because certain time, Satan might get in you, make you forget, the Lord make us forget that the Lord has our backs, man. But we gonna be all right if we be of that number, right? And that's why these scriptures are comforting to us. This is why the scriptures are referred to as the comforter, right? Referring to ultimately Yahweh Shai, right? But yeah, what else did I want to get? Oh. It's Revelation 15:2. And I saw, as it were, a sea of glass mingled with fire, and them that had gotten victory over the beast, and over his image, and over his mark, and over the number of his name, stand on the sea of glass, having the harps of the Most High. Right? Now, the sea of glass mingled with fire is talking about the firmament, right? And the fire is talking about the fire from the ICBM nuclear missiles, right? So once again, as we've just read in First Thessalonians, right? Those that are of the elect, Lord, will we be of that number? We're going to be in them chariots, watching as the destruction is happening, right? So we're going to be literally, looking down and observing the judgment that the Lord is about to bring, right? Go and see the firmament, basically, with the fire there, right? As an example is Terminator, the third one, when you basically see the Earth shone, you basically seen all the nukes hitting, right? But imagine that with more fire, right? It says, and them that had gotten victory over the beast, right? Beast representing Esau's power structure, right? Obviously because the beast is the thing with 7 heads and 10 horns, right? And that, is basically going into Esau's power structure, right? And over his image and over his mark. So they that don't take the mark of the beast, because if you take the mark of the beast, then look, man, you ain't gonna be on the sea of glass. You mingled with fire. You're gonna be in the fire, right? So let's all pray we don't take the mark, man. Pray that we are of the elect. Said, and over the number of his name, right? Stand on the sea of glass, having the harps of the Most High, right? But yeah, I mean, this lesson kind of went somewhere else. I was gonna get more, precepts into, into the destruction, and everything. But the Spirit had to go, in this direction. But yeah, this has been, July 16, 1945, right? Yeah, and that was the day the world changed forever, right? So yeah, as always, Lord's will, that was edifying. To the next time, Shalom.